Hi, everybody. I'm Toni Marcolini. Welcome to the podcast It May Interest You to Know. Today, I have a very special Italian singing sensation, Giada Valenti, with me as a guest. And I'm really excited to get this opportunity to talk to her. So, welcome, Giada.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. Now, I've been following your career. Of course, you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank
Um, Yeah, and I wanted to, I guess, go a little further back than the present and talk to you about the early years. When you were young, when you first realized that you had this particular interest in singing. I mean, were you humming tunes in the crib, or did it develop later on?
In the crib, I don't know, but I've been told by my parents that I really was in love with music as a young child. Of course, I'm Italian, born and raised here in Venice, Italy, where I am today. And not far from here, there was the main church, and my grandmother, she was the singer in our family. She was a wonderful soprano, and she was taking me with her, apparently, to church in the choir, on the up in the church. And of course, everybody was singing and I was probably humming. And there was my grandmother that she noticed that I could keep a tune, as they say. And so she encouraged my parents to send me to music school and vocal lessons and stuff like that. And I've been a singer. They asked me, when did you decide to be a singer? I never made the decision. I think it's something that you have in yourself, this passion. You're lucky that you could keep it tune. But I really loved music as a young child, and I could write music notes before I could write the words, and so it was something that. But I think it was my grandmother. She sang for me, and apparently my mom said that because I don't remember much of the voice of my grandmother, because later when I was, let's say, a teenager, I didn't like the way she was singing. Of course, my passion for music at the time changed to other things, but apparently she had a beautiful voice, and she was the one that said, hey, let this girl sing. And so thanks to my grandmother.
Well, and sing you have, right? And
Yeah.
since then you've had so many magnificent, I think, opportunities. Um, I, I mean, I have to ask, what's it? I mean, you're in Carnegie Hall, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is that like? Like to literally walk out on a stage to perform at Carnegie Hall?
When you walked in that kind of buildings as an audience, I guess the same, but as a performer, and when you walk inside a Carnegie Hall, they have a little book that you signed, and they know that they are special, so they go through the pages and you read the names of the Beatles, you read the names of people that have been there, and then they take you to the stage, especially the main stage, the big one, and they bring you center stage when you go to see the hall, before you perform, months before, and they tell you, here is the where the microphone is going to be. There is like a little X like this, and you think about it, all your idols, from Ella Fitzgerald, for Edith Piaf, for any kind of Tony Bennett, from Frank Sinatra, everybody's been there. It's kind of, for an artist, is magical. Then you look around, of course, the whole is special. And to me, my night was special because the gentleman that was handling me the microphone, I was about to go on stage the first time I did Carnegie Hall. He handled me my own microphone, and he said, this was also my job. I remember when I handled this microphone to Frank Sinatra. I was like, I know it was not the same microphone, but I was like, so this hand that was handing them, I did it too. I mean, kind of special, like even in Las Vegas we have a theater where Elvis Presley performed, the Westgate now, but at the time was the Hilton. And when you go there, they redid everything, but there is a piece of flooring where they kept it, where it was the place where it was where Elvis Presley was walking into stage. He was waiting there until they said Elvis Presley, and you stand there with your own feet. I took a picture of my feet on that piece of old piece of wood. It's kind of special, though. I mean, I don't know if the DNA is still there, but I was like, hey, maybe there is something around still. Those are big names. So for any artist, I think there is no one single, not even famous artists. I think everybody. I mean, if you ask them, it's special to be in places like that where there is music history is being written.
Sure. I mean, I love it. Yes, because I was thinking of the all the venues that you could possibly play, I mean, you're certainly headlining in Las Vegas now as well, and countless artists have gone there. But Carnegie Hall stands out. You know, it really does. I think it's in a league unto itself.
Oh yeah.
And so I thought, you know, that had to be just the pinnacle, right? Like to get to walk out on a stage in a venue like that. I would think for an artist, it's got to be like ringing a bell, you know, hitting the, you know, hitting the top of your field.
It's
Um,
funny. I mean, I still have, so I think my best, the best things for me, the best is yet to come, as they say in that song. And of course, Carnegie Hall was special because of the history of the place. But every time, I think every artist, we go on stage and something magnificent happen, we always feel like we feel blessed and very, how do you say, grateful for that opportunity. But I think every artist is like, okay, I want to have something else. I mean, we always look up, we enjoy that moment and we breathe the moment and then we hope of something even bigger for us to happen. And in my case, for sure, because I thank you for all these compliments, but I mean, there are so many things that I want to accomplish and things that I want to do. I never perform at Madison Square Garden, which I think is, I never done really a big hall like that one, you know, like 20, 30,000 people. I've done it in a soccer field when I sang in 2000 for the World Cup soccer game, but it's not the same. And it's funny because I spoke with some friends of mine that did do perform in those big halls, and they all give me the same answer. It doesn't matter how big is the stage, how famous is the venue where you perform. When the lights goes down, it's only you and your audience, and it can be 2 people, 20,000 people. For you as an artist, you're giving the same energy, the same love, and you get the same love back. And be 2 people, 20,000 people. It's like a giving and getting back that it's there at the moment. It's so special. I don't even know how to explain, because most of the time Carnegie Hall is spectacular. While you're on stage, they put the spotlight on you. You see nothing of the beauty. That's why I always say, when they ask me, the beauty is when you go and see the venue with the daylight. You see how beautiful, spectacular Carnegie Hall is. When you're in the dark, it's just the same, you know? It's you, your audience, the moment, the energy. It's a beautiful, magical thing, but it's
and
every
what, and you actually perform with Botticelli, right?
Yeah, I performed with Andrea, yes. He did actually the Madison Square Garden, where I saw him many times. I just saw him in New York. I missed it this year, but I saw him last year in one of the 30,000 big places. And of course, he does the meet and greet. You can go and see Andrea in the intermission. So they took us backstage with JJ. We were picked up from the audience and we go backstage. And then when we came out, Andrea said, if you want, you can stay here. So we were allowed to stay on the side of the stage, where from there, especially in Las Vegas, the venue is open. So you get to see what Andrea see. Of course, until they lower the light, and you see nothing, and it's impressive. I have to say though that what is very special about performing in places like Carnegie Hall, they're still big, but they have like a venue and they're built for music. The sound, it's just something. We artists, we love good sounds. It makes it easy for us to sing. And places like Carnegie Hall and like the Smith Center that we have in Las Vegas, where I perform a lot, those spaces are made for music. So the acoustic are spectacular. It's just like they're made for music. So for you as an artist, you sing and you can hear so perfectly the piano, the bass, the strings, wherever you have behind you of another vocalist, that I know you lose it a little bit you lose it when you are in those big venues, because they're not made for music. They were made for games and stuff like that. So there is something about it. And you know, some of my friends are like, when you do the big halls, we're not coming to see you anymore because we love you here in the small thing. It's true. It's like a cozy thing. But I mean, it would be nice just to have a dream to be performing in Madison Square Garden and to feel myself what it is to be in a no good sound big room. Why not?
Well, you're certainly on your way there. I mean, you're
Oh,
definitely
thanks,
on a
Tony.
trajectory to experience that. You're a little bit on
Yeah.
fire these days. Um, but what was that like to collaborate with Bocelli? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that seems like it would be a major moment too, right?
Yes.
Bocelli and
Um,
you. I mean, that's got to be to collaborate with
It's
somebody?
always an honor. Yeah, it's always an honor. It's something very special because Andrea, I mean, it transcended what would be an Italian artist of any kind of artist. I mean, when they said he was the voice of God, I think they described what the voice of Andrea is for the rest of the world. So it was nice when I received the call and I was invited to sing with him. Of course, I was very nervous because we are, even though we are both Italian, we're completely different kind of singers. He's a belter, he's a tenor, so he's one of those powerful singers, and me, I'm more of a quiet kind of person. So I was like, okay. So when you perform with him, they send you, of course, he's the superstar, major superstar. So Veronica, she's the manager and wife of Andrea. She's a force of nature. Talking about amazing women, I was in contact with Veronica, and she sent me songs to learn with Andrea. So were three duets and a solo songs I was supposed to do. So I was all excited. I had 3 months to prepare, and they sent me the sound. These are the duets you're going to be doing. And one of the songs was a little bit too high in the range. So I write Veronica, his wife. I said, would it be possible for Andrea to do this line so I can do the lower one so I don't have to belt that high? Yeah, sure. You talk to Andrea and we are going to make it happen. Was for his foundation, was a benefit concert. So the day of the concert comes by and I go to the sound check, and the orchestra is there and the sound system, and I do the sound the sound check of my music. And then I remember this very nice gentleman. He said, would you like to try the duets that you're going to be singing with Andrea? At that point, Tony, I'd never met Andrea. I only saw him. I met him once in Rome, but just a talk. You never sang with him. And I said, yes, I would love to do it as soon as Andrea gets here. It was like 3 p.m, and this gentleman that works with Andrea all the time said, Andrea doesn't do sound checks because he doesn't need to do it because we are always the same people. So I was like, what? He said, yeah, you're going to be meeting Andrea at 7 where the event start. Then at that moment, I freak out. I was like, oh my gosh, I have all these people coming here. I'm given the chance to sing with him. So basically you don't get to sing. And it's the same because there was another singer there, and she said, you never sang with him? I said, no. He said, oh, it happens to me too. I'm touring with him now. And the first call was the same. They called her, and for her, for this singer, the first gig was at Madison Square Garden, and she did the same. You learn the sound, you go. I must say that Andrea is just such a perfectionist that he always sings the song the same way. It comes from the classical world, so there is no improvisation. So that's what is written, that's what he sings. So as long as you sing your part, you go. And I remember I panicked a little for a second, so I called Veronica, his wife, and she said, no problem. We are coming there around 6. So you're going to have 1 hour to meet Andrea and discuss that little change of notes. So at 6 o'clock, I remember I was ready with my gowns and everything. And they escorted me to the room where Andrea was. And I must say that I knew already that it was very kind, but he's just the most funny, talkative kind of person. On stage is like the maestro. It's very introvert look like, but actually in real life it's very friendly. And of course, when he discovered that I was Italian, he thought I was Italian American. And so when I said to him, buonasera maestro, and he said, you're Italian. So, and we started to talk Italian. We talked for 45 minutes about life, what I was doing. And at a certain point I was looking at the clock was ticking, and I said, Andrea, sorry to stop you, but I said, we have to go on stage. And remember, oh yeah, you wanted to change the little thing. Let's try it. So Piero Frassi was there, the piano player, always plays with him. And Piero went on the piano, and we try only that part where I had asked him to do a different kind of thing. And 15 minutes later, I was on stage with Andrea. And he went fantastic in the way that he was, Andrea is Andrea. That what you see is what you get. He always sings the same. As I said, he's from the classical world. They really sing always the same. So as long as you do your part, and it was fun. Actually, we had a lot of fun together. If I have a second more, I tell you, because if you notice, Andrea always have the pop singers on his right side. And
Actually, never noticed that.
yeah, notice next time that he's always the conductor, Andrea, and the singer. Whoever the singer is, she's here. So because I didn't want to use the classical microphone, I wanted to have my hand mic, they decided during sound check to put me on his left side. But I didn't know that Andrea always had the singer on the right side. So I had to walk Andrea on stage. So we walked together, and I positioned him in front of his microphone because Andrea is blind, and he was adjusting his microphone. And then he assumed I was here. So you have all these people looking at you. I bring Andrea on the microphone, and then he look on this side. Of course, I am the other. I'm on his left side. And he look at the right, and he said, with his hands, he's looking for me. He said, "Where are you?" Yeah, I
Aw.
touched his, and I said, "Andrea, I'm here." So he said, "Why?" All in Italian, of course. And he said, "Why are you there?" I said, "I don't know. That's where they told me to be." So people is looking at us. So we had a good laugh because then for the first time, Andrea took the microphone and said, "Well, if you're wondering why I was looking for Giada on the other side, is because normally the singers are on my right and now she's on my left where the conductor is." So we had a good laugh. And I said to Andrea, "I'm not going to be the conductor, otherwise we're going to be improv." So it was fun. He made it everything so easy and fun. And from there on was just a joy. And we stayed friends in contact with him and Veronica. They are very nice people. They have a work schedule that are amazing, because sometimes I see him in Venice, and I am in Venice, for instance, and I text Veronica and he said, "Oh no, that was yesterday. Now we are already in Moscow, in Russia, or in New York." I'm like, how fast do you guys move? It's remarkable, remarkable. He's a workaholic, but it's a good example of for an artist. And even though he complains a little bit that he said he's old, he needs a little bit of a break, I don't think there is much of a free time for him. Not yet.
Not yet. Of course, a world-renowned talent. So that was, had to be an amazing opportunity to collaborate. Um,
It was, and I mean, I only hope to have more chances. It was just fun.
Now, you also recently hosted the Columbus Day Parade, I want to say,
Ah,
in New
yeah,
York City. I mean, that's to do anything in New York City is
ah,
right, is a
magical.
pretty big deal. That's what that can. I'm from New York myself, so I can say
Ah,
this. New York can be a rough crowd, right? I mean,
yes.
I think occasionally, of course, I'm in New Jersey now, but I come from New York originally, and I think if you can if you can hit a home run kind of in New York, with a crowd there, you can really hit a home run anywhere. So to be asked to host the New York City Columbus Day Parade is a pretty big deal.
It was,
How'd
yeah.
you enjoy that?
Very much. Actually, I was kind of nervous for the first 2 minutes, of 2 seconds before I went on, because first I thought it was just to say a few words. And then when I got there the morning of the parade, they said, "No, no, you're hosting together with Maria Bartiromo and Joe Piscopo and Ken Rosato and all these names from ABC." And I was like, okay. And so they took a good risk. I mean, at the end, it went very well. They were very happy with me. I was the one responsible for presenting all the other performers that were on the red carpet, and even to do an interview with one of the singers from American Idol. And they made me close the parade, which they were very happy, because I used some of the Italian words. So many, because I know many people are watching also, because New York City and the parade, the Columbus Day Parade is very popular also in Europe. So many people were watching from Italy, and I spoke some Italian words and I did some greetings in Italian. So I got a lot of a good response also from Italians that love New York and love the parade, and so it was a nice experience. I mean, a long day, because I've done the
Sure.
parade as a singer, and as a singer, you have to be there early in the morning for the sound check and everything. But then you do your 3 minutes performance, and then you're free to go. And when you host a parade, I never realized. So I have a lot of respect for Maria and Joe Piscopo, that Maria Bertiromo and Joe, that did it for many years. You are basically there from 11:30 until 3 in the afternoon. There is no even time to go to the restroom, for instance.
Yeah.
Hey, tough crowd, New York, tough. Yeah, if you have to do stuff in New York, that's the way to do it. But I had a lot of fun. I hope they're gonna ask me again. I loved it. I
Yeah,
loved
well, you were very good. It was a great. I thought it was great. I think you did a really
it.
great job.
Oh, thank you.
Um, so I guess I'm pretty sure that you write the majority, I want to say, of what you sing, but at least I know you write some of what you perform. Um, how do you create? Because I like to get into creativity a lot on the podcast, and everybody tells me something different, right? In terms of some people like Matthew Dix. I say this all the time on the podcast. He's a novelist, and he says I can't outline my book ahead of time. I have to literally sit at the computer and I hear the characters in my head, and they tell me what they want to say, and that he writes it just in the moment. The same. I spoke to one of the performers from the group Air Supply, and Graham said this something similar. I don't even think ahead of time about what the song's going to be about. Like until I'm just there putting it together, I'm a spontaneous. I don't think about anything in advance. It just kind of comes to me in the moment. And I've had people tell me that they have to methodically, plan. They need notes, they need everything, they have all their thoughts put together before they touch anything. Like, how do you create? Like, what's your process?
It's really a different. I mean, I mean, you can write every day a song if you want to. Doesn't mean that every song you write is a good song. In my experience, and sometimes the music comes first, sometimes the words come first. It depends. But for me, in my experience, I decide ahead what I want to say about it. If I'm in a mood to say something, first of all, that is personal to me, or something that I've heard happening to somebody else that really touched my heart, and I want to tell that story like it's my own, but it didn't succeed to me. So normally that's always the case that is easier for me, because then you use the thoughts and the experience of somebody else. If you have to write something personally, I always try to be as personal as I can, but also I use creativity with cautiousness, because then if you write something that is very personal for you, for instance, something very sad, and every time you sing a song, the sadness come back to you because it's your own thing. And I know many artists got through that they write honestly these things that are in the moment that they are heartbroken, and then the song became a hit and you have to sing it all over again and your heart is breaking to pieces every time. But it's a different experience, and most of the time I write with other people, so normally we talk about it. And if, for instance, I want to write something personal for me, they say, what is love for you, what do you want us to write? And so we discuss and we write down a bunch of words and rhymes and things that goes with the thoughts we want to go. And then normally the music, I have always melody in my head, so the melody, it's always the easiest part. Is more like the lyrics. And sometimes it's very sad, sometimes very fast, very funny. One of my first English song that I wrote was called Italian Signorina. You can find it everywhere on my Spotify or wherever. This song was born just for fun. I was writing, in a matter of fact, I was in Denmark writing song for other artists. And yeah, it was I was already in 1 week writing songs for other artists. And then one night I was co-writing with these jazz musicians, and they thought I was funny. They thought, let's write something for you. I said, I don't write English song. At the time I was just doing Italian music. I had just a deal with BMG in Italian. So I wrote a bunch of Italian songs, and they wanted to write something for me. So they said, okay, Italian Signorina, let's write something for you. What do you like? And I remember I was so silly. I said, well, I do love chocolate. I do love my husband. I'm always in the mood for love. I'm always happy. And that I'm in Italian Signorina, in the mood for love, for the first line. And then it's the song actually that brought me to New York City, because I wrote a song, and it was the first English song. My husband, that is like a big dreamer, he always sees everything big, he said, oh, let's send it to everybody. Such a cute little song. And we sent it to all the record company. Of course, we didn't got any response, but we got one from Clive Davis in New York City. Clive Davis was the discoverer of all my idols. And I kept the email because they said, from the team of Clive Davis, they said that I had an enchanting voice, and they invited us to New York City. I've never been at that point to the United States, and neither to New York, and I fell in love with the vibe of New York. It's a magic city. I mean, and
Agreed.
yeah, it was around the holidays, so there is nothing like New York City around Christmas time. And we got a meeting with them, and everyone was so cold. I never felt so. I mean, I was at the time living in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, which is very, very cold, but New York was so freezing cold. But anyway, they said they liked it, and they wanted to give me a chance to see if I could write better song with American writers. Do you want to stay in New York? I said, I love it. And that was Italian Signorina, a fun song that I create just is in a silly mood, took me to New York City. And that's the beginning of my history with the United States. So creativity is something every time is different. And there are some good writers that write songs that became major hits, and they are a story that they didn't live themselves at all. They just wrote them because they had a thought. And I think that's what a successful song is, just a gift. They come to you from somewhere, of a successful novel, something like your friend said that you had in your mind. And you sit down and suddenly it's like somebody else is guiding you to do it. And but of course, as an artist, as a songwriter, you always want to write a major hit. And I think if you start with, oh, he has to sound a little bit like that, and I have, then we always do, we prepare ahead, and it's going to be like this and that, and then when you're there at the moment, creativity goes its own direction, and you get something that maybe you were not even planning to have, but there he is. I'm very religious. I don't know if we can talk about religious, but I always do believe that those things are, creativity comes from somewhere else, that guided us, that put it in our brain. It's just like it's a magic thing, but I don't think it's all on us.
Sure, absolutely. The beauty to creation, to creating things. I believe as well that there's often, a divine guidance for that.
Yes, I do believe that. And I mean, of course, as I say, I've wrote so many songs. Some of them, I'm the only one who likes them. I think the whole major hits. Then I played it to JJ. He's my manager. He's like, I don't see it. I'm like, what do you mean? It's a masterpiece. But, you have to love your children, right? Doesn't matter how ugly they are. But then it's the world that decide. But I think the divine creations is one in a lifetime, and you may not even know. Maybe, when I wrote this album in the Netherlands, it was one song called Libera, which means free. And was the first one we wrote together with this guy. And it was not my favorite song because it was just a silly, stupid, so it was just a radio-friendly song. And it became my major success there. And I would have not spent a dime for that song to say, that's a good song. It was just like, it's a cute song. And that's what the audience liked it. So...
There is an unpredictability, right, to that sort of thing. And
if we knew.
Yeah, if we knew, right, we'd all be buying lottery tickets, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, but I do think that trying to gauge the taste of the public is a very difficult thing, and you just never know when you're going to find lightning in a bottle. I think it just presents itself unexpectedly most often.
And you know what it is? I create all my show. So every time I put a show together, I decide a title, and then I put a bunch of songs together. And every time there are too many songs, and some people ask me, how do you decide which song you want to sing? Sometimes I listen to other people and say, oh, you have to sing that song because that song, everybody loved that song. So, and if I don't love the song, of course I sing it pretty. It's gonna sound nice. And I noticed that the song that I really I feel connected with became also the favorite of my audience. So I think it's the same. If you try to do a song that, because it's the fashion of the moment to have that kind of groove and that kind of thing, but you don't feel it. If you're lucky enough that you can, it's like a dress. When we are girls, so when you wear something that you feel comfortable, I think people see you also, oh, so look, have you seen how pretty she is? And sometimes you wear something because it's fashion, and you are like, oh, I don't feel comfortable. And I think people don't like it either because it's not made for you. And it's the same with music. So I always try to listen a little bit to what the fashion is of the moment, but then I try to sing what I like. And I love ballads. I love romantic, slow songs. So sometimes my team, they say, you have to move it up a little. And I do, I listen to them. But, that's me. I love to talk about my family, my grandparents, the family, and sometimes people in the business, they say, stop talking about that, be more sexy and talk about sexual things. And I try to, Tony, I try, but it becomes like, I mean, it's no me. I mean, I love women and I don't want to be a threat to women. I want to be friendly with them. So I want to be seen like their best friend there, and that's really me. I'm a supporter of other women, so I don't want to be the sex symbol on stage. I mean, for fun I want to do it. But so I always have that discussion with people in the business, because they say you would be more successful if you were more like, if you were more sexy in your whole thing. And I'm like, and think about different things. I don't know, maybe I would, Tony, I don't know, but it's so different in my personality.
Well, I think your talent shines through, right? And I think that there's different tastes. No, you can't have everybody being the same way, right? Certainly, there's a market for different types of talent or different types of individuals,
Okay.
and you would be depriving the world, I think, of a great talent for you to be anybody else other than who you are. I think just a small time I've spent with you, you have a marvelous personality,
Thanks.
and I wouldn't want it to be any other way.
No,
So,
but
and
they always try to
I think
shape.
there is a market for people who want something different, right? Not everybody wants that same kind of cookie cutter type behavior. Some people just enjoy the music and want the performer to make them feel something cathartic.
Yeah, that's my only hope every time. I mean, I do love artists, not because, I mean, because I love them. I mean, I'm a huge Celine Dion fan, and I always loved her because she's an amazing talent. But for me, because she is like, she could be, I do believe that if I get to meet her, she will be my best friend. That's how I feel about her. And sometimes when they give me that compliments, that I remind them of Celine Dion, is a huge compliment for me. Not because we sing alike, because we are completely different as a singer, but as a personality. She talks a lot, I talks a lot. She's very friendly. She always talks about the family and much. And those are things that I love about her, and that people said that they love by me. And for me, that's a huge compliment. And she sings about love songs, and I love to sing love songs, and that's me. Okay, what else can I be? I don't know.
So, you have a new Christmas single out
Yes.
that you wrote. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's called Winter Star, actually, and it's written by Johnny Reed. I didn't write that one. It's written by a Canadian country superstar. He's a major superstar in Canada. And I always, when I was, I stumbled into the song a couple of years back. I was putting together my show. It's called Love Under the Christmas Tree. There we go. Love again, also for Christmas. And I was looking for, we sing all the same sounds, a Silent Night and whatever, all the famous one, All I Want for Christmas Is You. And then I stumbled about this song, and the simplicity, this winter star, which is the symbol not only of the winter star, but all the things that wherever we are in the world, we can always find our way back home, because we have some people or some things that always make us find a way to go back home. That's what winter star is. You are the light of love and peace. And I loved it. It's a very simple song. And then during COVID, of course, there was nothing to do for anybody, and was in the middle of the summer in Las Vegas. And JJ knows how much I love Christmas. He said, what about we do something for Christmas? So we decided I called Greg Field, which is a famous producer and friend of mine in California. I said, Greg, let's make a Christmas album. He said, okay. All the best musicians in the world, they were all home, and so we called all the biggest musicians in Los Angeles, Nathan East and Tarika Cooney, they played with Josh Groban, and Anthony Wilson, they played with Diana Kroll. They were all at home doing nothing, and they said, yes, we want to do it. So we went to Capitol Records in Los Angeles. It was the first day they were opening. We had to go with COVID test, mask on, no more than 5 people in the recording thing. It was just a whole thing. And Shelly Bear came from Florida. I couldn't wait to be in the record. And we recorded 13 songs that we're going to release hopefully next year. So in the middle of June, middle of COVID, we recorded that one. And then at the end of that, we wanted to have some strings. And again, Greg Field, he said, well, I'm in contact with Abbey Roads and they have the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Hollywood is closed. There is no movie. They're all there. The violin player, even the conductor, Robert Ziegler, is out of work. Let's call them. So I got a deal for an independent artist that I couldn't say no. And remotely, we recorded the strings with the Royal Philharmonic and Winter Star. It's the second song actually from that recording, because last year I recorded Silent Night. It's part of the album that we hope to finish for next year. And so there it was. And I got this dream. I always dreamed to have something like that. But, I could have never ever thought that it could happen during COVID. But actually, it was a blessing for me because everybody was available, because now it would be impossible. And the prices for everything was so small comparing them. Normally these are projects for major artists with big record label. I have a small label in the Netherlands, so and I was able to do it, and I can't believe it. And it sounds fantastic, because I don't know if Tony, you ever heard the Royal Philharmonic play, but for me it was like I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning because they were in England, so we needed to wake up early, and I was there listening the way the orchestra, they are magnificent. They are. I'm a great admirer of talent, and I play with many strings orchestras, but those are perfections. And of course, Robert Ziegler, come on, is the conductor from all the Star Wars movie, and to hear him, Sam, you're Italian, so you will understand, to say "Buongiorno Giada" in Italian, he said. I was like, hey, I made Robert Ziegler speak Italian. It was kind of special. So it was like a dream that came true, but without even realizing it was happening, because it went so fast, and it was COVID, it was confusing, it was like, and there I have it. But Winter Star, I hope people is gonna like it. It's somebody wrote a beautiful comment on my YouTube channel when I posted the video clip a few days ago, that they love the song and the meaning of the song, and they hope it becomes a Christmas classic. That would be nice,
It's beautiful song. I did
thank you.
listen to the song too. It is really beautiful. So, and I'll actually we'll put a link to the on the
Thanks.
video to the songs. Everybody should check it out.
Oh,
I'm
thanks.
looking forward to the album.
Yeah,
Now
me too.
talk. Me too. We're getting to hear the album. You already know what's on the album. I'm looking forward as a listener to be able to hear it. I want to take you to Christmas, since we're on the topic, and ask you, well, a couple of things, right? You have your favorite, you do a lot of cooking, right?
Yes, I do.
And tiramisu seems to be one of your favorite desserts to make. So can we talk a little bit about that? Like how cooking became so prevalent in a lot of the videos that you do? And can we talk about your tiramisu?
With great pleasures, they say. Well, the cooking and the tiramisu, I've always cooked because I'm Italian, so I grew up in the kitchen with grandma and my mother cooking very simple Italian food. Everybody in Italy can cook something. But I never thought that there would have been something that I could share with other people, because I'm not a chef by any means. But when I was doing the tour with my PBS special from Venice with Love, so many 5-6 years ago, at a certain point I was doing all this morning show, when you go and you promote an upcoming concert or wherever, and many of those studios, morning show around the United States, they didn't have a corner for singers anymore. So they were saying to JJ, we would love to have Giada sing again this year, but we don't have a music a corner in the morning show anymore here on ABC, NBC, wherever we were, in Cincinnati, wherever. And so they said, can Giada cook? And JJ, of course, said, yeah, of course she can. So he came to me, she said, you're going to have 5 minutes on their morning show. You can't sing, you have to cook, and they don't have a stove. I'm like, what? So how can I cook if I cannot cook? And then suddenly I was thinking, I said, well, my favorite dessert is tiramisu. It originated not far from where I was born and raised. It's very simple to make. It's super delicious. Everybody loves it. And so I went, I think Cincinnati, was Cincinnati the first one we did it? I think it was Cincinnati. We went there and I made it, and it was, Cleveland. JJ said, thank you, JJ. So it was Cleveland, and I made it. They love it so much so that at a certain point I started to tour around the United States, and everybody was waiting for Giada to make tiramisu. And then when I done the run of tiramisu, people were saying, "We want to have her back. Can she make something else?" I said, "Sure." So I made baci di dama around the holiday. I made with the Pandoro a Christmas tree. They can find those video on YouTube. They're all there. And then during COVID, I did this 100 days of Jada live every day. Basically, was just like I was keeping company to my friends and fans around the world every day with JJ at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. We were going live with "Here Comes the Sun." That was the opening. And I was doing 3 times a week interview with all my famous friends. So I had all the famous people I could think about it. They were all at home, so they were all there. I did all this interview. And Saturday, I said, I bring the cameras in the kitchen and I'm going to cook. And it became something that people loved it because honestly, I don't know, can you cook, Toni?
Um, I do cook very basic stuff.
Okay.
Nobody's knocking down the door to be sitting at my table, if that's what you mean.
But you can cook. But I noticed that many people they were going to restaurants to eat all these Italian delicious things, but they never really tried to make them at home. So I started to say, okay, next Saturday we're going to make a risotto with piselli, so rice with peas, which is typical of Venice. And they're very simple, basic things. And I was saying to everybody, please, if you make it, send me a picture. And people were making the things I was making. They were sending picture. There were many young fathers and mothers with children. They were in the kitchen making together. They were sending picture. They were doing a better job of me. So I started to say, hey guys, if I can do it, you can do it even better because I'm a singer. How do I know about cooking? So it became me think that everybody was like, sometimes people are afraid to cook because when you see those people, I said, I'm a chef. So of course he's a chef. Of course he can cook. Me, I'm a singer. How can I cook? But I was a singer. So I am a singer. So I was saying, guys, if I can make it, you can do it too. And people felt encouraged and they started to cook the things, even the children. And then somebody will say, hey, what about some booze? I don't drink nothing at all. So I said, oh, we're going to make cocktails. I don't even know what cocktails are, not being a drinker. So it was fun because I was finding recipe. I don't know if they are recipe, whatever, cocktails names, and I was make them live at the end of the cooking. And then JJ was the one sacrificing to drink it. And they were good, I must say. So we had a good run of 100 days of every day. And every Saturday became the highlight of people that they were saying, let's see what Giada is cooking. And then the whole week they were cooking the things and very simple things that I've learned here from my grandmother, from my mother, I have one of my aunts, she's a great chef, but simple stuff, probably stuff that you also know how to do. But many people have no idea how to make simple pasta alla carbonara. And of course, I'm a huge history person. I like to learn. And so I was really working hard with JJ. I was doing a lot of research about of ingredients, of if there was something about specific things about the dish I was cooking, and people really felt engaged to learn. Everybody, they say learn one thing every day, and people love the fact that all the things were related to Italy, and they were learning to cook and learn something about the dish that I was making, the traditions, and so it became something. Yeah, and so much so that at a certain point after COVID, I even got an offer to be the presenter for a cooking show that we're talking about. So who knows? You're going to be seeing me cooking more. Who knows?
Do you have a favorite Christmas tradition or just Christmas story that you could share with us?
Christmas traditions is funny because everybody in the United States thinks about the 7 fishes. We don't have 7 fishes. I'm from the north of Italy, so that I guess is south of Italy because I ask also my mom and the older generation. Nobody has ever heard. We have some traditions, of course. The night before Christmas, we have a big dinner with the small part of the family. We wait until midnight, and we go to church. And we normally eat fish the night before, which is true. And then only on Christmas Day, we have some meat and pasta and stuff like that. Not much. No, I would say the only thing is, that in Italy, they say Natale con i tuoi and Pasqua con chi vuoi, which means Christmas with your family and then Easter with wherever you want. The only traditions that I think I'm very happy that I'm able to do it this year, since I'm in Italy with my parents, is to spend Christmas with the family. And when I'm in the United States, if I cannot see my family, I have some dear friends in Las Vegas or before in New York City, and I try to spend the Christmas with them if they're also alone, because especially in New York City, we're all from different parts of the world. So most of my friends were also either Italian or from other parts of the world with no family. So we were gathering together. And of course, we have something that didn't took much didn't become famous in the United States, but it's the panettone or pandoro. Have you ever had it? They're typical. That's a typical things that we have in Italy for Christmas, and it's a cake. One, the favorite of Jaja, as kind of what is inside it?
Fried fruit and raisins.
Fried fruit and raisins. And the other one that is my favorite is pandoro, which is golden bread. It's sweet cake made with butter, and it's big and it's typical from Italy. And you see it sometimes in the supermarket, even in the United States. And I notice that people buy them without knowing that that's really is the Christmas traditions in all Italy, in the whole booth of Italy, Pandoro and Panettone. They originated, especially Pandoro in the north and the Panettone also in Naples in the south. And in America, people, they buy them. I see my friends, they buy them without knowing what it is. And that's a typical cake for the holidays here in Italy. And I'm always say to JJ, I have to go one time on television somewhere and tell the story, because that's really, because Italian Americans are always looking for traditions, and that's something that they didn't brought with them when they moved to the United States. For the rest, it's funny because I find more traditions in the Italian American families in America than we are in Italy, because in Italy, modern people, they try to be fast, so they forget about tradition. So I had some friends of mine in Long Island and the Izzo family, and for many years I spent the holidays with them when I was not with my family, and they are Neapolitans, and they had the 7 fishes, and then they have the presents at midnight. So I'm grateful to my job as a singer, because even though I was trained in the United States, especially in the beginning not without my family, I was embraced by other Italians that really made me part of their family, and I'm very grateful to that. They became actually a extended family for me and JJ. And I've learned, actually, funny enough, the 7 fishes traditions from them, because I had no idea what they were. So when one time my parents came to visit in New York, I said, "Ma, we need to have the 7 fishes for Christmas." My mom said, "What's that?" So we couldn't think, Tony, of 7 fishes to cook. So one of them was a can of tuna.
Perfectly acceptable.
Perfectly acceptable, right? That's what we said. So we had 7 fishes. But yeah, so that's sad. But I mean, Christmas is special. I mean, this year is extra special. I'm here with my parents, but it's funny because when you are like me, somebody that has a house here and there, you're never happy. I'm happy to be here with my parents, but I miss my friends and my life in the United States. So you're always torn between two reality, and they are completely different reality, because when I'm here with my parents, I'm their daughter and I have to do what mama say. And when I'm in the United States, I am Giada Valenti, the singer, and I can do whatever I want when I want. And so it's two different reality, and so it's nice. I mean, I'm,
Do you think, now I'm curious to this, do you think in Italian or in English?
actually, my second language after Italian is Dutch.
Oh, okay.
So
So you think in Dutch or yeah?
no,
No.
they ask me all the time. I don't know what I think. I think it depends. If I talk in English, my thoughts are in English, believe it or not. Until I stumble, I think, to a word that I don't know, and then I switch into Italian with my thoughts. Because of course, I've learned English from a book, and then I've learned by talking to people. But of course, it's not like my Italian. My Italian is spotless, and English is just like I know maybe 200 words and I use all the same. So I navigate with the knowledge of words I know and I make my sentence. And I notice that because sometimes when they say be short with your answer, and I noticed I can be very short in Italian because I know all the words of the dictionary, and in English I have to navigate with what I know, the constructions I know. So it takes me like the double of time that you will take to say something for me is like, and sometimes people say, be faster. I said, I mean, I don't know how to say that. I need to use, I would like to tell you, but you would say, and like, okay. So yeah. And when we are in the Netherlands, of course, I speak Dutch. So, but I still speak English, so I'm sometimes confused. I speak in Dutch to people that only speak English, or Italian to my parents, or in English to my parents, and they look at me like, "What's that?" So, oh, sorry, scusa, ho sbagliato. So I don't know. It's and when I travel a lot, I get lately I spend a lot of time in the Netherlands, so I use a lot of Dutch. And JJ noticed that when I speak English, I put some Dutch words in between. I'm like, "Oh, did I?" He said, "Yes, you said the Dutch word." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I don't even know.
Well, this has been a great hour. I love the opportunity to get to know you a little bit. I hope you'll come back, especially when your Christmas album gets released. I'd love to be able to sit and talk to you more about it when it get,
I
when.
would love to. I would love to. And I mean, you are in New Jersey. I'm in New York in a couple of weeks. So if you're in New York, come down to New York City, your place, right? You're from New York.
Absolutely. So,
So
yes. So, I mean, we'll put a link to your website where your schedule is. I encourage anybody who hasn't had an opportunity to see you or see you live to check it out and see if it coordinates with your availability. Because it's definitely worth the show. And if nothing else, there's a lot of stuff that you have out there of yourself on YouTube, and there are links on your site that allow people to check out various performances, and of course your music is readily on wherever you buy your music. You're going to be able to download her music as well, so I encourage people to check it out.
yes, thank you so much, Tony, for having me. I mean, I'm looking forward to be your guest again. And if you are in Vegas, let me know. I'm there. Or in Venice, in matter of fact.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have
Thank
this
you so much.
opportunity to talk to you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. You know how to say that in Italian?
I
Buon
do know how
Natale.
to say it, but I won't even try, because when I say an accent, when I do anything, it comes out with like a New York accent, and it just
So
sounds
here it is.
like
Buon Natale.
Buon Natale.
It's perfect. It's good. Buon Natale. And Happy New Year. Let's hope that 2023 is going to be a fantastic year for all of us.
Oh, I hope the same. So thank you for joining us, and
Much.
it was a pleasure to meet you, and I look forward to interviewing you again.
Looking forward to that.
Okay, I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
say bye. Bye from the podcast.